Every Thanksgiving movie tries to sell gratitude. Dutch, 1991, written by John Hughes and directed by Peter Feynman, does something braver. It earns it. It's not about family harmony or cozy tradition. It's about the uncomfortable, often humiliating work of building empathy across class, pride, and hurt. It's a road movie dressed up as a holiday comedy, but underneath the pratfalls and explosions of temper, it's one of the most honest depictions of what Thanksgiving actually means. Two people who don't like each other being forced to find humanity in common. The setup is pure Hughes. Dutch Dooley, Ed O'Neill, is a Chicago working class stiff, loud, blunt, loyal, and stubborn. His girlfriend Natalie is a refined divorcee trying to raise her prep school son. Doyle, Ethan Embry, after splitting from her cold, wealthy ex husband. When the kid refuses to come home for Thanksgiving, Dutch volunteers to drive to his boarding school in Georgia and bring him back to Chicago. What begins as a goodwill gesture turns into a week long war between class, ego, and loneliness. In most holiday comedies, the journey is metaphorical. Getting home means rediscovering love or forgiveness. In Dutch, it's literal. The road itself becomes the battleground where compassion is earned. Doyle, a miniature Gordon Gekko in a school blazer, sneers at Dutch's cheap cigar jokes and construction worker manners. Dutch, in turn, tries to humble the kid with blue collar pranks and tough love. What follows isn't heartwarming, at least not right away. It's petty, mean, and human. Hughes lets the film simmer in discomfort. These aren't caricatures, they're wounded people trapped together in a country that measures worth in money and manners. By 1991, Hughes was moving away from the teen world that made him famous. The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but Dutch feels like his spiritual sequel to those movies. If his earlier work explored adolescence from the inside, this one views it from the outside with a kind of weary compassion. Doyle is what happens when you take the insecurity of a Hughes teenager and raise it without warmth. He's intelligent but cruel, articulate but empty. Dutch, meanwhile, is the grown up version of every misfit Hughes ever loved. The janitor from Breakfast Club given a second chance to teach someone that kindness matters more than status. The film's Thanksgiving setting isn't decorative, it's thematic. Thanksgiving is America's ritual of forced gratitude, a holiday that pretends unity while quietly exposing the cracks between classes, generations, and ideals. Hughes uses it as emotional pressure. The long car rides, the motel stays, the broken down fireworks of resentment, they all push Doyle and Dutch toward a confrontation with their own privilege and pain. When Doyle finally confesses that his father abandoned him emotionally long before the divorce, it's the film's real feast, the serving of truth after so much empty performance. And yet, Hughes never lets the movie sink into sentimentality. The comedy is still chaotic and physical. Dutch getting hit by firecrackers, losing his car, hitching rides with strangers. The humor comes from humiliation, but never cruelty. In a sense, it's the most working class Thanksgiving film ever made. The triumph isn't in getting home for the holiday meal, it's in enduring the journey with your dignity intact. Dutch doesn't solve Doyle's pain, he just refuses to give up on him. That's what love looks like in the real world, not rescue, but persistence. The irony is that Dutch failed at the box office and was dismissed by critics. It came out at the tail end of the Hughes era when sincerity was going out of fashion, but rewatching it now, it feels startlingly relevant. The class tension that fuels the film the disconnect between labor and privilege has only deepened. Dutch represents a kind of empathy that's vanishing, the belief that decency can cross social boundaries if you're stubborn enough to try. He's flawed, loud, occasionally obnoxious, but he's also the only adult in the room willing to fight for connection. Thanksgiving movies tend to end in easy warmth. The turkey carved, the family reconciled. Dutch ends in something quieter, not harmony, but mutual understanding. Doyle still bristles, Dutch still smokes too many cigars, but they've earned each other's respect. The film's final image isn't triumph, it's peace, hard won and imperfect. In its scruffy, overlooked way, Dutch might be John Hughes's truest Thanksgiving story. Not because it's sentimental, but because it understands the holiday's contradiction. Gratitude isn't natural, it's learned. It's what happens when pride breaks, when empathy becomes survival. Hughes knew that love, like Thanksgiving dinner, is messy, a little overcooked, a little too loud, but worth the trouble. So, when you think of Thanksgiving movies, don't just picture Norman Rockwell tables and cheerful parades. Think of Dutch and Doyle on the side of the highway, covered in dirt, still arguing, still trying, because maybe that's what gratitude really looks like. Two people finally stop judging long enough to listen.
Have you ever seen a night so long? Stars begin to cry. That means they've lost the will to live. I'm so lonesome I could cry.